What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the November 30th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification so that way you're notified when the House of Wrestling drops its latest content. Also, give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and yes, Hive Social. You can also follow me on my Facebook page, Dedrian. That's Dedrian. Man, where do I start with this show? This was a really good show. I enjoyed it. It was fun. I liked the pacing. It was a very cohesive show. It didn't feel like there were certain things that were too long and things that were like, oh my God, it should have went longer. It was too short. It just felt, everything just felt right in its time. That's just how I saw it. I know other people may see it differently. But man, I really enjoyed this show. This was a fun show. There was a lot of things that were added to storylines that are progressing. We got an appearance by Bow Wow on the screen. So I'll get into that a little bit later. But man, this was a really fun show. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I was entertained. It kept me intrigued. There wasn't, oh my God, I can't, oh man, this is... let me see what's on the game and stuff like that. No, this was really good. And I like that they had Willow Nightingale, Ricky Starks, AR Fox. You had Dax and Bryan Danielson. You had the Elite and Death Triangle. You had a card of people that the fans liked and a card of people that are like, okay, we don't necessarily like them, but man, we like how they talk, and somebody else is going to come and just, ooh, man. Like, this was a really good show. Like I said, this was fun, but enough of me talking about how much the show was good. Let me get into it, but before I get into this show, let me give you guys the results like I always do. So, tonight we had Bryan Danielson. He defeated Dax Hardwood. We had Samoa Joe defeat newly signed to AEW AR Fox. We had Ricky Starks defeat Ari Daivari. We had Willow Nightingale defeat Anna Jay. And in the main event, man, I wonder if this is going to be the main event for however long this series goes. You had the Elite defeat Death Triangle. The series is now 2 wins to 1. Death Triangle's still in the lead, so we'll see if they can maintain that lead next week. Man, this is that main event, man. Whew, man. I'll get into it a little bit later, but let's get into this show. So, started off with Jon Moxley, comes out to the ring, and he doesn't have the somber mood, but you can tell he's just like, I just want to beat the hell out of Regal. I want to beat the hell out of Moxley. I just want to beat the hell out of anybody that wants to be sneaky and slimy. I enjoy his entrances even more now because he has that loner vibe that he had when he first started. And it just fits him. And it's crazy to think that this guy has been coming out through the stands for going on 3-4 years. And I think that's longer than when he was with the Shield with Roman and Seth. Because, of course, you guys remember the Shield would come through the crowd. Yeah, 2014? Then they reunited in 2018-19. Yeah, I think he's come out through the crowd longer in AEW than he did in his WWE run. That's crazy. So yeah, he comes out. He talks about his history in Indianapolis. He's like, there's 3 things that are certain: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. He says, this AEW ring belongs to me. There isn't a man to come along to say anything different. And before he can finish that line, and I know that's a horrible imitation of Hangman Adam Page's thing, but yes, Hangman Adam Page comes out in commentary, mentions that he's in Indianapolis to, get evaluated and everything. And you know what? This is one of the things that's very underrated about AEW, and I haven't seen many people mention this. Shout out to Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Taz, even Ian Riccaboni. Shout out to their announce team. And man, I don't know how people are like not seeing this. There is a lot of detail that these announcers are giving that fill in the blanks of a lot of storyline gaps that before they didn't used to. Like, it was just, they would just call everything. But man, they're giving a lot of little details that add to these storylines. That's like, ooh, man, this is really good. And before, I know, man, I'm trying to think of another wrestler that was injured and came back and everything. Um, they mentioned, like, it was just, I just love that spot, man. I love that they mentioned that, like, oh, it's like, oh, wow. So he gets in the ring and he's face to face with Moxley, and Moxley's like, oh, you sure you want to do this? And then Moxley utters the most sarcastic, condescending line that you could give to a guy in Hangman Page's situation. After he says, you sure you want to do this? He's like, oh, that's right. You don't remember. Oh my God. And for those of you, don't know, or just like, oh, what are you talking about? So Hangman Page, when he was wrestling Jon Moxley, he suffered a concussion, and, they evaluated everything. And usually one of the first signs of a concussion, if you've had one, is slight memory loss. And oh man, when he said that line, those guys were brawling. Security came out. I love that line. Mind you, this is starting to show, and it's like, ooh, okay, this is different, but it's good. It makes sense, and it's like this is another element added to the Moxley Regal MJF, you call it triangle circle storyline thing that's going on. So you got another thing added to that element, or that storyline. So there's a lot of things and scenarios that can happen, and many ways that they can go. And I really like that AEW is going back to that. If you guys remember, if you go back to like the first 2 years of AEW, there was a lot of their storylines, their major storylines, that had so many scenarios that you can go into. That was just like, ooh, man, this could happen, or this could happen, or man, this could happen, or wait a minute, you could do this. Oh, you could do this. And it just feels like the beginning part of this year, it was very little storylines that felt that way. A lot of them just kind of like, yeah, all right, yeah, but it's just, this is just so good, man. I love this spot. Then we get to the next match, or the first match, which is Dax Hardwood versus Bryan Danielson. Man, this was a very good match to open. It reminded me of, man, I believe it was in 86. Yeah, I believe it was in 1986. I believe it was in the Boston Garden. There's a match. I believe it's on YouTube. You can check it out. But it's a match between Bret Hart and Ricky Steamboat. And elements in this match kind of reminded me of that match. I think I saw it like a couple months ago. But man, go back and watch that match. It's like there's certain elements, like, man, this is like a good wrestling match. And it nowadays, I don't want to say it's hard to say, but it's rare that you get a good wrestling match. And this match was basically mat wrestling, and a little bit of mat wrestling, a little bit of technical wrestling, a little bit of chain wrestling, just a little bit of those combinations that, when you're dealing with someone like Bryan Danielson's skill set and Dax Hardwood's skill set, man, you are in for a treat as a wrestling fan, and you are going to see some unique, peculiar storytelling with these guys. And this match did that. There was a point where Danielson did the tope dive, and Dax was knocked over on the barricade, and then while they were fighting the barricade, Dax Hardwood suplexed Bryan Danielson into the crowd, which I thought was really crazy, and that was in the picture-in-picture. And shout out to AEW, because they have been doing a lot of wild things during picture-in-picture that normally before, picture-in-picture is like, I can go to the bathroom or get something to eat, get a snack, or, let me see what's on Twitter and blah, blah, blah. Like, now they're starting to, like, do some stuff that you're just like, man, I want to get away, but they have been doing some crazy stuff that I don't want to look away. But, man, towards the end of this match, or how this match concluded, of course, there was "This is awesome" chants throughout this match. Dax Hardwood turned a kick out into a sharpshooter. Then that spot led to a multiple near falls. I mean, there had to be between maybe 6 to 8 near falls. Maybe, I don't know. Comment below how many, the exact number of near falls that were in the Dax Hardwood Bryan Danielson match. So you had that, and then Bryan Danielson was able to put in the label lock, put it in. Dax tapped 1, 2, 3, or not 1, 2, 3. He just tapped. Bell rings. Bryan Danielson defeats Dax Hardwood. At the end of the match, you have Bryan Danielson has his hand stuck out, and Dax Hardwood looks at it. He goes to the ropes, and they're like, "Oh, boo!" And then he gets back in, and he's like played it off, and he shook Bryan Danielson's hands and gave him a hug. That was a really fun opening match. I know Dax Hardwood's had a few opening matches on Dynamite, and pretty much all of them he's delivered. And man, that guy, he is a great tag team wrestler, but man, he is really showcasing how great of a singles wrestler he is this year. I look forward to him and Cash Wheeler as a tag team, and potentially in their future match with the Acclaimed, and hopefully next year we get that Young Bucks FTR match that everyone's been waiting for. After that, we get a backstage segment with Ricky Starks. He mentions that he's going to throw his name into the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Tony Schiavone mentions that there has been a few changes. It doesn't seem like, the way it appeared, it didn't appear like he mentioned any changes, because it was a quick exchange between him and Ricky Starks and all that. So I guess they'll go into a little bit detail of the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal. But he mentions, a judgment call. I'm going to win, and then I'm going to take everything from you, MJF. So basically he's saying, I'm going to take everything that MJF has won. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to be the new face and everything. So looking forward to it. See what happens. This is very interesting. If you guys remember my last couple of reviews of Dynamites, I've been mentioning about Ricky Starks, and this is only the beginning. We're going to see more emphasis. I guarantee you, we're going to see more emphasis on Ricky Starks as a character, because he's got personality. He's got charisma. I know the last couple of weeks, actually a few weeks, that he's had like squash matches, which I don't mind, because you just want to get him over. But I can see some people not liking that. And then some people like, well, they're kind of building him up to eventually have a really good, like, long match with MJF, which I could see that, and I could see both sides. For me personally, I hope, well, he is going to be in a long match in the Dynamite Battle Royal, Dynamite Ring Battle Royal. So that kind of technically is a long match, but going forward, I want to see the squash matches that he has kind of like spaced out and not in consecutive weeks. So we'll see where that goes. Then we get a backstage segment where they're showing Jon Moxley and Hangman Page just brawling in the arena parking lot, and they're just brawling, and people are separating them and everything. And I like that. I like that AEW, and the way they shot this was so good. Like, there is a lot of things that they're doing that they're, the proverbial tightening up the screws. They're doing it, and I liked it. This was different, fun. I do got to say, like, if Hangman Page is being evaluated for a concussion, it doesn't help that he's brawling before he gets evaluated. So I don't know. That's just a little stickler for me as far as, the storylines and stuff. Like, well, I think he's cleared, but if he's not cleared, it kind of sucks that he's brawling, knowing that he needs to get cleared. It's like, all right, whatever. Maybe he's on that cowboy shit. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's the point that he's at, and more than likely, the way commentary has been lately, they'll probably emphasize it. Then we get an interview with the Blackpool Combat Club and the Jericho Appreciation Society with Renee Paquette, and actually it was Claudio and William Yuta. This segment, I like Cesaro and Yuta being really serious, but man, the Jericho Appreciation Society. Um, Actually, this segment, I wish it was more Angelo Parker and Matt Menard speaking. Jake Hager just taking out his hat from his fanny pack and throwing it at Claudio and Daniel Garcia. Like, I don't know. I think it's just to the point where maybe I'm alone in this. Comment below if you guys feel the same way, that it just feels like the Jericho Appreciation Society should move on to something more. And even in the case, maybe they should like start disbanding this group and just put a few guys with Jericho. And by few guys, just have Matt Menard and Angelo Parker with them and Jake Hager. That's it. And just go from there, because of course they planted the seeds of Sammy possibly leaving back at Full Gear. Daniel Garcia, I mean, we kind of see the foreshadowing going forward, like get him away and just keep those guys with Jericho and leave it at that. But yeah, this segment, I mean, Claudio got heated. He's like, I'm sick of this. And Jake Hager, he mentions, hey, why don't you and Claudio face me? And, or actually, no, it's Daniel Garcia. He's like, why don't you and Claudio face myself and Jake Hager on, I believe it was next week. So we're getting Hager and Daniel Garcia versus Claudio and Wheeler Yuta. It is what it is. I like Claudio. I like Yuta. I like Daniel Garcia. And in some cases, I like Jake Hager in small increments. But not like this. I just, me personally, I want this Jericho Appreciation Society feud with Blackpool Combat Club over already and just move on to something else. It's just, it's annoying, but it's not annoying. I want someone to beat them up. It's annoying. All right, can we hurry this up so we can move on to something else? Because I don't want to see this. Like, that's how it is. And mind you, this isn't a shot at the wrestlers. It's just how they're being presented and how this whole Jericho Appreciation Society thing has been presented in the past several months. It's just like, can we move on to something else? And I'll get into my thoughts as far as what they should do with Anna Jay, you know, when I go over the match with her and Willow Nightingale. But yeah, man, it's time already. Then we get the AR Fox versus Samoa Joe match. This was a solid match. Like, most of these matches that they've had on this card was very solid. So we get Samoa Joe and AR Fox. They're going back and forth, and then Samoa Joe goes outside the ring. AR Fox dives over, and Samoa Joe does his usual, you know, walk away. And man, Samoa Joe is a heel, man. This is so good because you've seen him in the ring talking smack. It's like, just let this man cut promos, man. Let him cut promos. This is going to be entertaining. So AR Fox, he dives off the ring, but he rolls up. So Samoa Joe thinks like, oh, he landed, blah, blah, blah. And he turns around and AR Fox drop kicks. I love that spot. Man, AR Fox athleticism, man, is really amazing. Of course, he was in Lucha Underground. And let's face it, anybody that has participated in Lucha Underground has been signed by either AEW or WWE. Because if you, man, go back and watch those episodes, man, the athleticism in Lucha Underground was insane. And honestly, you can say that it actually influenced this actually last decade, and it influenced this decade of wrestling. So congratulations to AR Fox for signing with AEW. Kudos. Congrats, man. About time, man. And it's going to be fun to see him showcase his talent. So after the rollout is just a back and forth, then Fox was able to hit a tornado DDT from the top rope. Then he executed a 450 splash and a kick out. Then you don't do this to Samoa Joe. AR Fox went on the ropes again. Missed a splash. Samoa Joe picked him up. Forearmed him, put him in the muscle buster. Bam, 1, 2, 3. It was over. Samoa Joe wins. Then he grabs the mic. Then he's like, it's the new era, the king of TV. Wardlow gets on screen and he's like, you're not the champ. You're not this. This is Wardlow's world. And it was kind of weird how that transpired because you see the crowd kind of booing Samoa Joe, and then they cut back to a split screen of Wardlow and Samoa Joe, which was like, you didn't have to. That was weird cutting back because it's like, okay, is Wardlow going to say anything else? But he didn't, and they cut. And I mentioned what they should have done was they should have had Wardlow shown on screen, or showed him looking at the monitor and then turning and looking at the monitor, just rolling his eyes and just walking off, where don't say anything. And that's been some of the best things about Wardlow, is when his facial, you see, he speaks more with his facial expressions than he does vocally. And it's not saying that he's a bad talker. No, he's a pretty decent talker. It's just, for this type of feud, you need those facial expressions to speak. Not words or anything, just those facial expressions. And just let these two guys beat the hell out of each other. That's how you do it. Then we get another vignette of Powerhouse Hobbs. These vignettes are beautiful, man. So then we get, and I like this. I hope they do this more. Taz breaks down Hook's moves on Moriarty, and he just breaks down the reason, or what the moves does and why Hook does it, and just how it the sequence of how the moves flow and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. This was fun. And he used to do this back when he had Team Taz, and I liked that, and quite a few people liked it, and it's like, oh wow, this is pretty cool that they're bringing this back. And man, if they can do that more, not so much with Hook, but just other wrestling matches, man, that would be really cool, and a really like, this is really interesting. Then we get to the MJF promo. Man, oh man, this guy never disappoints. Mind you, I do think that this promo kind of went a little bit too long. And there was a certain point of the promo where he kind of could have condensed it a little bit, but overall, man, MJF is champion. This is going to be fun and entertaining. So MJF comes out to the ring, and what's crazy is that as he's walking to the ring, he looks at a few fans, and there's a fan with, I believe, their child, and he takes his gum and he throws it at them. It's like, what the hell? Like, I know you're a heel, but like, damn. Like, he threw his gum at fans. Then you had William Regal. He tells him, you must grab the brass ring to get the title. MJF says William Regal is a genius. And Regal wanted to leave Moxley with a lesson. The Firm, he talks about them a little bit. He's like, I'm above chasing people. And he says, none of the men who held the title, are not in my level. And as he's saying this, they have this setup of, you could tell it's a belt. So right away, it's like, ooh, did they get a new belt? Like, is MJ like, ooh, this is pretty interesting. So he mentions also that this version of the belt that he's currently wearing is garbage. Regal takes the cloth out, and it is a new AEW World Title with how do I pronounce it? Burberry stripes on it, like MJF's scarf. I think it's pretty cool. I noticed that on the side plates, they have like more shiny, visible globes on them. So it's like, oh wow, that's pretty interesting. It looks very shiny. So I don't know. I like it. It's different. You can tell that the belt is a little bit. It looks bigger. Like, it looks really big. It was like, damn, this is a huge belt. So yeah, he brings it out, and he says, he mentions Kingston, Starks, and Danielson, which, knowing the history of AEW storytelling, this could be a, no pun intended, foretelling or foreshadowing of the next three opponents for MJF. Of course, Starks is going to be Winners Coming. So we could get Kingston and Bryan Danielson. Damn, Kingston and MJF on the mic. Those promo battles. Whew. And give you a side note. After this review, go check Eddie Kingston's Twitter. He's already started, man. Ooh, man, this is going to be good. So yeah, he mentions them. Then he says, I'm going to be the champ till the bidding war of 2024. And he mentions, without mentioning them, he mentions Nick Khan and Triple H. He says, January 1st, I don't know if this wrestling company wins. Maybe Hollywood wins. Then he mentions that the people are fickle and I'm a special attraction. And he mentions Hulk Hogan, JBL, Jeff Jarrett, Bruno Sammartino. And his reign of terror has just begun. There's a big shut the F up chant. And after that's chant and everything, he grabs a brass ring and he's like, you know what? I don't need the ring. And he puts the brass knuckles on. He walks behind William Regal and he decks William Regal in the back of the head. Wow. That shocked a lot of people. Of course, we kind of know that MJF is going to do something grimy and sneaky, but we never thought of that happening. At least not now. And I don't think a lot of people thought he would just deck William Regal. So yeah, he knocked out William Regal. He reads the email, or how do I put it? So the verbiage that William Regal used in the email that he sent MJF when he was trying to get into WWE, MJF repeated that same verbiage to William Regal in regards to what MJF thinks of him. And it's like, ooh, damn, that's deep. And they cut to commercial, or actually they don't cut to commercial. They, the medical team, they come out, they're checking on William Regal. They put him in a brace and they had like you can tell he was like some blood in his mouth, and there was, they had the neck brace up here and it was up here, and like it was just really like, man, do you guys know how to put a damn neck brace on? Like, like if somebody's really hurt, like the last thing they need is the freaking neck brace. And they're moving and stuff like that. But they come back to commercial and, or actually before they go to commercial, Tony Schiavone, with probably the line of the night, he calls MJF a piece of shit. Oh, like I said, man, this commentary team has been on a roll as of late. And man, Schiavone with his one-liners, man, man, I love Schiavone, man. I love Tony Schiavone on commentary, man. This was freaking hilarious. So then we go to the Ricky Starks versus Ari Daivari match. Ricky Starks comes out, and then once he's in the ring, Ethan Page and Stokely, they come out, and Matt Hardy comes out, and he's jumps in front of him. He's doing the delete. And, man, Stokely Hathaway, man, would you get your ass in the back? Like, what? Like, man, this is so funny. And here's the thing. Of course, a lot of people aren't, it's probably not on anybody's mind or anything, but it does seem like with whether it's social media or just Matt Hardy's interviews and stuff like that, he's really doing the delete. And maybe we're getting broken Matt Hardy again. Maybe. Just saying. If we do, it's going to be interesting. AEW does have some players that maybe he could do something with. Maybe the House of Black cinematic match. That actually might be pretty fucking cool. And shout out to House of Black, because I did not know until a few days ago that the guy who played Pinhead, I forgot his name. Forgive me, guys. But yeah, the guy who played Pinhead in the 80s, of course, Pinhead is known from the Hellraiser series, was the voiceover guy for the vignettes of the House of Black. these past couple of weeks. So it's like, wow, damn, you got a horror legend during your vignettes. Like, man, this is amazing. So yeah, this match. Stokely tells Matt Hardy to get in the back, and Ethan Page is like, I'm winning a Dynamite Battle Royal, and then, what you think you're going to do to MJF, I'm going to do, because I'm going to win the ring, and then after you're done with you, I'm going to win the world title. So it's like, ooh, okay, this is interesting. You know what? One thing that's crossed my mind, this is something to think about. I don't think they're going to turn Ricky Starks, but what if there is this somehow forming of a faction with MJF, Ricky Starks, and Ethan Page? Just saying. I don't think it's going to happen, but the way AEW tells their stories and just how everything, like, never say never with AEW. Like, there's some things that they will throw out like, whoa, I didn't see that coming, but that's interesting. Hopefully they improve on the follow-through that a lot of fans have been complaining about for the last couple of years. But I don't know, just something that came to my mind is like, could they do that? We'll see. Then we get a backstage segment with Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel with Tony Schiavone, and he talks about the sit-down that they're having with Saraya, and Britt Baker's like, no, you need to have a sit-down with us. And she tells Renee Paquette, you know what, go back home, we don't need you, interview us, interview the champ. And that was basically it. It was a decent segment to, of course, put the women's champ there and just, kind of continue the feud with Saraya and Britt Baker, and by proxy, Jamie Hayter. So, I had no problem with it. Then we get the Anna Jay versus Willow Nightingale match. Started off with big Willow Nightingale chants. Actually, I do got to say, and I do got to retract what I said earlier, that there wasn't any matches that felt a little bit too long. This match should have been a squash. And maybe it's because the previous match was a squash, but there was no reason that Anna Jay should have went this long with Willow Nightingale. And I'm not saying, she shouldn't had, a fight or a contest or anything. It's just like, Willow Nightingale that's the girl. That's the woman. Like, she got power, speed, athleticism, and it's like, Anna Jay had her in the ring this long? Like, And of course, the way they're presenting Anna Jay's character lately, she's more of a weak heel, almost. Not saying that because during this match you had Tay Conti, Tay Conti, forgive me. Ty Mello, there you go. Ty Mello, forgive me. Forgive me, Ty. Forgive me, I slipped my mind. Ty Mello was at ringside, and this was basically Willow's match. I mean, she dominated. Anna Jay, she applied the Queen Slayer, and it was countered by Willow Nightingale into a freaking nasty splash. It was like, damn, I hope she's okay. Then you had a lariat by Willow Nightingale. Then she was able to do the Dr. Bomb by Willow. 1, 2, 3, she wins. Now she leaves out the ring, and you have Ty Mello and Anna Jay. They're at the ring, and then music hits. Ruby Soho's back. Yes, Ruby Soho has returned, and Anna Jay, she's looking at the entrance ramp. Ty Mello, they're looking at the entrance ramp, and Ruby Riott, she comes out from the back, and she just Ruby Soho. Man, forgive me, guys. Ruby Soho, she comes out, she starts decking her and beating her up, and then you had they go outside, and she does the Destination Unknown on Ty Mello on the entrance ramp, and the crowd is just going wild and everything. Comment below what you thought of this segment as far as Ruby Soho returning, and was it good or what have you? What are your thoughts on it? But I enjoyed it. I'm glad that Ruby Soho's back, and she's recovered from the broken nose at the hands of Ty Mello. Was it a few months ago or something like that? So really glad that she's back and see what she's going. And man, this AEW Women's Division is actually shaping up to be, it's really solid. And there's a lot of depth that man, there's a lot of pieces that are like, ooh, okay, I want to see this. I want to see this. And, next year, Chris Statlander and Layla Hirsch are going to be returning. So it's going to be a really deep women's division. Then they, of course, go back to last week of the House of Black's return and how they destroy the freaking factory and the best friends and just the havoc they cause. And then we go to a backstage segment with QT Marshall and Orange Cassidy with Tony Schiavone. And QT's like, yeah, I want to challenge you for the All Atlantic title. And Orange Cassidy's like, sure, yeah, I'll see you this Friday. And QT Marshall's like, yeah, but I want to challenge you not in any match, but a lumberjack match. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll see you next week. I enjoy what they're doing with Orange Cassidy, where he's being short, punctual, and just, yeah, whatever, and just walking off. Like, I like that better than, I like that more than him being kind of like the slacker and just, yeah, all right, cool, yeah, like no, he's alert. He's like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, I'll see. And it's like he's just a fighting champ. Like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'll beat you. So it's like, man, he's got momentum. All right, I like this. This is fun. Then we get to Jade's celebration. Man, oh man, the outfit she wore. Oh my God. That woman is a superstar, man. Oh my God. Man, that woman is a superstar. So she came out with Red Velvet and Layla Gray. She grabs the mic and she starts talking. I can't. I believe this is one of the first times that she gave a lengthy promo in the ring. I'm not gonna. It wasn't bad, but I do look forward to her speaking more because she does her inflections. What she wants to say, she says it with conviction, and it's believable. I look forward to her talking more because, man, once that starts rolling, whoo boy, she is gonna be an even bigger star. So she mentions that I made the baddies, and then she looks at Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch, and she's like, why were you chilling with Kiera Hogan this past weekend? And if you go on social media, they were chilling. So that's another thing. Then she says, to stand next to me is a blessing. Then she goes into, or she looks at both Red Velvet and Layla Gray. She's like, you either step up or you step aside. And she's like, I put asses in seats. I make AEW money. And then on the screen, right after she says, Little Bow Wow is a joke. Little Bow Wow. It's Bow Wow. Oh my God. I called him Little Bow Wow. Oh my God. Forgive me. Bow Wow is on screen and he's like, yeah, this tour's pretty much wrapped up and I got free time. So see you soon. Or see you real soon. And she's just looking and she's like, yeah, whatever and stuff like that. Like, this is, I can see some people like, oh, Bow Wow, like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, really? Like, oh, man. Like, bruh, like, dude's gonna be on, like, really? But then the other side, and this is where a lot of people are starting to like, okay, where is this leading to? Bow Wow, like, okay, they've been doing this. They shot the whole Jade Cargill and the baddies confronting him at his concert. The whole back and forth thing with his Twitter exchange of shooting a shot. There's just a lot of things that people were talking about. And, of course, a lot of people are saying, like, hey, is this whole thing alluding to a possible debut of a new women's wrestler in AEW? Is this alluding to maybe Kiera Hogan being with Bow Wow? Of course, the big speculation, man, what is this leading to? Maybe Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes, potentially joining AEW. She has mentioned that, she's going to do something crazy. Of course, we got Royal Rumble next month tomorrow will be next month. It's gonna be December 1st. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, is this Bow Wow Jade Cargill thing, feud leading to, like I said, a debut of an AEW women's wrestler, and is it somewhat leading to an AEW debut of Sasha Banks Mercedes? Of course, we know Snoop and Bow Wow have that connection, and Mercedes is Snoop's niece. And are we getting that? Like, is this leading to this? My thought is like, man, if it is happening, like, is it going to happen at Winter is Coming? I mean, we've had some crazy stuff happen at Winter is Coming. Also, is this leading to like possible debut at the LA show? Like, where is this going? Like, who, it does feel like with this feud with Jade Cargill and Bow Wow, like it's leading to some debut. Like, it doesn't feel like it's leading to Bow Wow getting in the ring and attack. Like, it doesn't feel like, it feels like he's being used to introduce a new wrestler, a new women's wrestler, or he's there to get more notoriety to Jade Cargill and whoever her opponent is, Kiera Hogan or what have you. So there's just a lot of questions surrounding it, and it's a good storyline. I'm not gonna say it's bad because it's got people talking and wondering, like, man, okay, where's this going? Because they're giving us just enough to, like, okay, this is what's happening, and then they don't give us enough where we're just like, but man, where is this? Are they really, like, Sasha Banks really going to AEW? Like, nah. And of course, it's hard to think that Sasha Banks would go to AEW because just like, nah, man. It's like you got the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. It's in LA. Like, nah, man. There's no, like, you can't fathom it. But then again, look at what the hell has happened in the last 2 years. Actually, this year. We had Vince McMahon resign. You had CM Punk and that whole situation. You had Cody Rhodes return to WWE. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestle a match. So, honestly, in this world of pro wrestling and whatever the hell's happened in the real world, anything's possible. So, I wouldn't rule out anything. And I know some people, well, she's never going to go. Never say never in pro wrestling. If the money's right and the creative's right and there's an opportunity for them to do something new, more than 9 chances out of 10, a wrestler will go with that direction. So I'm not saying that it is going to be Sasha Banks, but it's just certain things, like, it makes you think that it could be Sasha Banks. So we'll see. Then we get a backstage segment with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Man, this segment was freaking hilarious. He's talking to them similar to how Triple H talked to DX when they invaded the scope back in 1998 when they invaded WCW. He's like, why are you guys not on Dynamite? And these guys, just go back and watch this. And he concludes like, so what happens when we're all said and done? You give daddy ass scissors, and you can tell these guys are having fun. You can tell Billy Gunn's having fun. This is so entertaining. I'm so happy for these guys because I remember when they first came on the scene on Dark during the Daily's Place era of Dynamite, and you just see, like, man, okay, there's something here. Like, there's something here. I like this. Then we get to the main event, the Elite versus Lucha Bros, and kudos to all 6 guys in this match because this match was different than the first 2. Totally different. And I do like the fact that they put these guys in a best of 7 series because it forces them to create new ways to do the match with the same opponents. And that's when you really see how creative wrestlers are, when they have to face the same opponent and create something new and different, which is what wrestlers used to do back in the 80s and 90s when they had house shows and they were working with, the same guy for, a month, 2 months, 3 months. They just develop a rhythm. But man, the way this match started, um, Elite came out first to kind of like boos and cheers. Like, it was a mixed crowd. And as the Lucha Bros come out, the Elite just charge at them and they just start being like they are fighting on the ramp. Then you had the Lucha Bros execute double cutters on the Young Bucks, and they're still fighting and everything. And then you had during picture in picture, Kenny Omega was attempting to do a running knee, and he got super kicked by Pac. They fight on the ramp, and then Pac does a shooting moonsault thing that he does onto the Elites, and then they come back on the ramp. They go in the ring, and then the bell rings. So you had later on in the match, you had Matt Jackson. He knocked out Rick Knox with a drop kick. At the same time, you had Alex Alejandro's pass Penta the Hammer. And that is an interesting thing, that the Hammer is a big part of this story, of this 7-match series. The Hammer. Like, it's so interesting. And now that I think about it, man, like, okay, Greg the Hammer Valentine, that's not going to do it. But what is that metaphor? Using the hammer. Like, that's really interesting. Really interesting storytelling. So, Alejandro's passes Penta the hammer, and then Rey Fenix stops Penta, and as he stops, they both get super kicked. Then later on in the match, you got a bunch of, like, there was numerous times throughout this match, This Is Awesome chants broke out. Then you had an Avalanche Falcon Arrow executed by Pac on Omega. Omega kicked out. Then you had Pac attempting to do his 450 splash, which he got kneed. And then that allowed Matt Jackson to roll him up. 1, 2, 3. The Elite win. And the series is now 2-1. Go back and watch this match. This was a fantastic match. I was highly entertained. And kudos to Tony Khan and the creative team that he has. You put this match last. Like, this match should have been the main event last week. And I guess this week you guys got it. Like, all right, you heard the feedback. I was like, man, they should have main evented. And yes, this was the main event. And this was a wonderful main event. This was a wonderful show. I enjoyed it. Hopefully this continues. I do got to say that AEW in the last several weeks, or actually you could say the month of November, that it's been a more cohesive show. It's not perfect, but it has been very cohesive, where it's like, okay, this feels like a wrestling show that's an alternative to WWE, as opposed to, the past 3 years where it was rare to have these type of shows. Like, it was just, some things would be clunky, and just like, man, work on that. It's like, ooh, tighten this up, and it was a good show, but it wasn't a complete show, a cohesive show. And you're starting to see that in AEW. And man, if they continue this, man, 2023 is going to be a really good year for AEW as far as just their storytelling and just the show. And it's going to be fun. And also, man, getting back to this Jade Cargill Bow Wow thing, like, I'm really wondering, like, where is this leading to? Is it leading to Kiera Hogan? Which, it's not a knock at Kiera Hogan, but just where, if you're bringing in somebody like Bow Wow, and mind you, I know some people are like, oh, he's whack and this, but he does have a name. If you're bringing someone from the outside who just finished a tour, and, who, like, where is this going? Like, who are you bringing in? Is it, a bridge to bring in a new AEW women's wrestler? The only names I can think of are Naomi and Sasha Banks. I don't see it being Naomi. Sasha Banks, maybe, because she has been spending a lot of time in Mexico. But again, that doesn't necessarily say anything, because she could return for Royal Rumble, and of course WrestleMania is being in LA, so it's like a 50-50 chance or something. So I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. I'm actually intrigued with that storyline and where it leads to because let's face it, Jade Cargill's still undefeated. So I know a few months back when the whole Sasha Banks walkout thing happened and people were like, man, the perfect person to actually give Jade Cargill her first loss would be Sasha Banks. Like, that would be the perfect person to give Jade Cargill her first loss. I don't know. We'll see. Hey, in February, it's Revolution, so we'll see where that goes. And of course, Sasha Banks said she was going to do something crazy, so we don't know what that means. We just got to watch and see what unfolds. So that is my review for the November 30th episode of AEW Dynamite. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notifications, give this video a thumbs up on YouTube. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, wrestling's fun, and next month is going to be fun. And then 2023, we're off to the races with all these big wrestling events the first 3 months of the year, and Christmas for wrestling fans. Yes, I like it. So yeah, with that, I'm out.